Hello!
Hi!
Oh, hi! Today we are talking about YouTube and design. You know, YouTube's grown tremendously over the last 9 years and now has a global community of users. And that is a really interesting design problem.
I mean, if you're going to have a problem, that's a good kind of problem to have, right?
Oh, yes, but it presents a challenge. And that challenge is, how do you design a product that looks and feels consistent when it means something different to everyone who uses it? You know, most brands have a pretty clear idea of how they want to be represented. But at YouTube, our challenge is that YouTube represents everything from delightful and silly content to serious and sensitive stuff.
That sounds like a pretty crazy challenge.
Exactly.
So why don't we share the story of how we took on that challenge and captured YouTube's brand?
Yes, sounds good to me. Everybody, this is Josh, and he's a product designer at YouTube.
Hi, and this is Michael. He's a marketing designer.
Yes. We work together on YouTube's user experience team. And Josh, let's tell these folks what they can expect in this video.
Sounds like a good plan. So in the next few minutes, we're going to cover a few things. The first is how a traditional style guide can actually be something much, much more than a style guide. The second is understanding your brand's identity through its community of users.
And then we can wrap up with some tips and tricks for how you can use this in your own work.
Cool. So we represent a collaboration between UX design and marketing, and we actually started building a traditional style guide, and then we kind of decided that we needed to do something different, and we ended up with something much, much more useful to our team. So here's just one page from what the style guide looks like.
Right. The guide we created lets teams at YouTube jam together on product design and content creation by speaking a common language. We can't go through the entire resource in this video, but we're going to share some of the content and process that went into turning YouTube style guide into a thought guide.
A thought guide? What's a thought guide?
Well, what do you think I'm thinking right now?
What are you thinking right now?
Yeah.
I think you're thinking that when YouTube first started, it was a video dating site. Am I right?
Yes, you are right, and that blows my mind every time. I love it. Good job.
Yeah, so since then, the site has evolved into an entire service, a huge service, and the video content on the service has grown up too.
YouTube is a platform for community movements like It Gets Better Project, memes like the Harlem Shake, and serious subjects like political uprisings captured on mobile phones.
And obviously YouTube gets all of its content from its users, so that means that our users are kind of designing our product with us. So why wouldn't our style guide actually reflect that?
Exactly what I was thinking. So we think it's way cooler to design with our community than for our community. I mean, not that we're not designing for our users, we are, but I mean, you know, like with them, like we feel like family, like the Brady Bunch.
Yeah, but that kind of presents a second question, doesn't it? Like, who makes up YouTube's community?
Well, you might think it's just people watching videos, but it's more complex than that.
So complex, actually, that we spent about a year doing research with users to learn how they interact with and relate to YouTube's brand.
Yes, here's some of that research. Here's a page from a diary study, and that looks like somebody using their tablet on the toilet. Is that accurate?
I'm afraid it is.
Well, that's fantastic, because we can use that. We like data. You know, sometimes research and analytics are used to solve a really specific problem, like how to improve task completion or click-through rates.
We were actually curious about larger communities and their needs on our platform, not just a specific persona and not just the people that are watching videos. So going back to that question, like, who really is everyone on YouTube?
Right. The YouTube community is really complex and diverse. There's a lot of people viewing videos, but that's not everyone. You know, there's also people making really interesting content, creating original videos, vlogs, shows, music, all of that stuff.
Yeah, and actually another thing that we found interesting is that advertisers were uploading amazing content and collaborating with our creators to make commercials and ads that people really loved to watch and actually wanted to share.
Right, so the research and digging into experiments, data, and YouTube's history revealed that there's real tribes of people collaborating on the platform. And that information is so much more interesting and valuable than it is for us to invent personas or to design for just one kind of user.
Yeah, so a style guide is usually there to document a brand in one direction. It's like a photo from one perspective. And we wanted something a little bit more dynamic, something that was more like a mirror that reflected principles back on the community.
Right, so if we had a mirror like that, we could use it to determine the success of our design solutions or campaign creative, the new metric being authenticity.
And it was that idea that started to turn our style guide into more of a thought guide. And it began by curating words that described our brand that would reflect the personality of YouTube's tribes. And then it actually guided product design. And it also helped craft marketing efforts.
Yes, the words. The words are
words.
connected, human, spirited, and simple.
Awesome, words.
Woohoo!
Words.
Words.
So we have these words. What do we do with these words?
Right. Okay, so words are good. Words are good. They're well-meaning words. But we need actionable principles, right, that we can actually work with. So let's take connected as an example. We've identified our tribes, right? Creators, advertisers, viewers. And individually on connected, they're just floating out there in space like little stars. But say we do something, right? We create a product or an experience, and we try to solve two of their needs and connect those groups. Well, that's great, because now we've got a line, and that's good, right? But you still got one kind of floating out there.
But what if we actually connected all three and we made a constellation, which conveniently looks like a play button, right? Gorgeous. Whenever you have 3 points connected, connecting your community together, you can actually triangulate your position, you know where you are, you know who you are, and you kind of know where you're going to go next.
Yes, exactly. And chances are if you've done all those and you've connected them, you're probably making work that meets the needs of more user tribes, and that's a good thing. So we shifted the way that we evaluate our work by adding the metric of connectedness too. So we aim for beautiful constellations, not just solutions that serve one group, The more the merrier.
Yeah, and I think if we look back, this principle was actually happening already on YouTube. We had lots of advertisers that were already working with creators to create great commercials and ads for users. So a lot of this was already happening, and all we did on our end was we started observing this, and then we assembled a team of designers from product and marketing all together, and we started to think about the brand voice end to end on YouTube and came up with those words.
Yes, and those words, again, connected, human, spirited, simple, they became principles that helped us create a common language. That was the real thing that evolved, a common language for product and marketing to collaborate together.
Yeah.
So let's look at some of the ways we work to deliver on those attributes and principles. What comes to mind is the YouTube Music Awards. That's in a way that we ran with the idea of connected, right? So we streamed a live event from Seoul, Moscow, London, Rio, New York, so that the entire world could celebrate music on YouTube at the same time.
Very cool. And actually on the product side, I think I have a good example of connected.
Oh, all right, let me hear it.
So we discovered that creators really wanted to connect more with their viewers, and we built this tool that lets those creators see who their top fans are, and now they can actually reach out to their most engaged subscribers and start a conversation with them, or just say thanks.
I love that, like humans connecting with other humans.
Yeah,
Speaking of human, let's talk about LGBT creators on YouTube who made it a safe space to come out and speak their minds. We thought that was so awesome that we wanted to make a video celebrating their work in those moments. So we did, and then we asked people in that video to upload their own and join in using the hashtag #ProudToLove. And they did. It was an awesome response, and so nice to connect with the community in that way.
And now there's Proud to Play, right?
Yes, there's Proud to Play too. You can search for that video on YouTube. It's lovely.
Cool.
You know what? Tell them about that secret Harlem Shake Easter egg, because that is a good example of spirited, I think.
Yeah, it's very spirited. So if you go to YouTube and you type in "do the Harlem Shake" into the search field, the site actually does the Harlem Shake. It's pretty cool.
I love that. So this is the still image. You really have to go to the site to try it and see it for yourself. It's awesome. But we wanted to express our spirit just like the original creators of the Harlem Shake and everybody who joined in with them.
Cool. So we also want YouTube to feel simple and easy to use. It's one of our biggest ongoing efforts.
Yep, that is true, and it's one of the hardest. One of the ways we tried to solve that was with an app called YouTube Capture, and it made it a lot simpler to upload videos to YouTube from your iPhone.
I think the original flow took almost a dozen steps, and we were able to reduce it down to just 2 steps and also include editing and enhancement capabilities. That's pretty simple.
Love that. Amazing. Yeah. So I think, when we look back at all these things, one of the things we learned was that no matter what we're doing, whether it's an app or a campaign creative, we can find ways to embody the brand attributes in our work.
And depending on the specific user tribe or the context, we can dial those attributes up or down. So they're really flexible. And I think now is a good time that we show a chart so this presentation actually feels official, right? You have to have a chart.
Yes, that would make this very official. All right, I think we've got a chart, and it's called Find the Right Balance. Here it is.
So for a product feature, we look for solutions that feel connected and simple predominantly, and that's the blue and the purple on this chart. And then we throw in a dash of spirited and human. We always have all 4 attributes present.
Yes. So take the marketing campaign. All four are present again, but we want like a supersized helping of spirited and human. That's the yellow and the red pieces of the pie. And then connected and simple are there, but they might be side dishes, but they're still at the table.
Right. So these are actionable brand principles. That's
Yep.
awesome. Now, how about what do you think we should do next?
I think we should wrap this video up with a bulleted list of takeaways.
Oh my gosh, you read my mind. I love bulleted lists. The best way to
reading.
wrap up a presentation.
Okay.
So when you're designing your own thought guide, here's some things that we learned that we wanted to share with you. The first thing is it's hard to make good decisions with incomplete data or just one kind of persona. So if you can research real users and especially think about entire tribes of users, dig into that and identify your community.
Nice. Love that. All right, so once you've got your community identified, you know, those people are full of passion and personality. So why not look to them to help define your product and your brand?
And next, if you've identified your community, it's way, way, way more fun to design with them instead of just for them. So engage with the tribes on your platform as often as you can. Talk to your users and communities.
Okay, love that. And when it comes to brand attributes, I got a tip for you. You ready?
Yes.
Okay, so it's flex and fit. So choose words that are flexible in their definition, yet specific enough to actually work and be useful. And then once you get them, you can dial them up or dial them down depending on the context of your project or your work or the problem you're trying to solve.
Cool. And last but not least, think principles before pixels. Stay true to your community by turning those brand attributes into actionable principles that you measure all of your design work against. A thought guide can actually help any size company, large or small, with any type of community make better decisions. It's been a huge change for us in how we design and work.
Yeah, definitely. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you for your time. Check out some of the videos we went over and shared today on youtube.com. That's the website. And we hope you have a great, great I/O.